The only item on the agenda is CR 78, 2023, a resolution concerning county council rules of procedure for the purpose of amending the rules of procedure for the county council. The sponsors of CR 78, 2023 are council members Dernoga, Olson, Burrows, Blagay, Uriata. This was in Committee of the Whole last week, and we had much public discussion, and we had much council discussion, and I'll turn this over to Ms. Eubanks to go over the committee report, the overview.
Good morning. CR 78, 2023 was considered in the Committee of the Whole on September the 12th, 2023. CR 78, 2023 amends the rules of procedure for the County Council. The Chief Legislative Officer and drafter of the legislation indicated that this resolution amends the County Council rules with regard to the ability to vote virtually. This discussion started from issues in late March and early April when various council members were participating in council meetings virtually and voting virtually as was permitted during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, the allowance for council members to participate and vote virtually during the COVID-19 pandemic only lasted while under the state of emergency. Since we are no longer under the COVID-19 state of emergency at this time, council members are not permitted to vote virtually. This resolution would change the council rules to continue to permit that accommodation for the council members. The accommodation is limited to extraordinary circumstances beyond the council members' control. CR 78, 2023 also modifies Rule 3.1, attendance, and Rule 8, voting, to permit council members to participate and vote virtually. A motion to move favorably was made by Councilmember Blagay and seconded by Councilmember Barrows. The motion failed 5-5. A substitute motion was not made. It was noted that it requires 6 votes to pass out of committee. After the vote, various council members spoke passionately in explaining their vote. When asked, the Chief Legislative Officer indicated that neighboring jurisdictions modified their rules regarding virtual post-pandemic to include Montgomery County, changed their regulations to allow for virtual voting in limited circumstances, and Anne Arundel had proposed legislation. A council member asked for the definition of reasonable accommodation. The Chief Legislative Officer requested time to thoroughly vet a reasonable accommodation definition of an employee and employee relationship. That includes my overview. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Eubanks. So we have in front of us CR 78, 2023. I noticed that we have a number of folks who've signed up to speak. If this passes out of committee, this will be up for a final vote in front of the actual full council next week. Generally, when we have a bill that's held in committee, we don't open it up for further discussion with the public. So I appreciate the folks coming, but we're going to see what the council wants to do. Is there any direction from the council on this resolution?
I'd like to make a motion for a favorable recommendation for CR 78.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Ivy, a second by Vice Chair Blagay. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Chair Dernoga.
Aye.
Vice Chair Blagay.
Aye, and to explain my vote, I pray that all of the council members on this dais make the right decision to support a colleague who is in need of accommodations right now, but just to make sure that we say that no other mother or mother-to-be on this council would have to not be involved in voting and shut down the voice of their district. So I vote aye.
Mr. Burrows.
Aye.
Ms. Fisher. Mr. Franklin.
I vote aye. In explaining my vote, I think it's important to bring some unity to this body. I've had the privilege of serving on the Prince George's County Council for 13 years, 4 terms consecutively, and I will tell you that this is a body that I love, I think the county council can do extraordinary things, but divided, we can't do much at all. And so I want to hopefully see this council become more unified, and we have a lot of great work to do as a county. We all love Prince George's County. It's the greatest county in the world, but if we're not united, we will not live up to our full potential. I vote aye.
Mr. Harrison?
Abstain.
Mr. Hawkins?
Madam Clerk, I spoke to the chair and asked for a moment of personal privilege. First, as a member on this council, a husband and a father, I want the council and the public to be aware that I apologized to Councilwoman Oriata last week following remarks I made that were insensitive, emotional, and not all indicate of my beliefs, character, or commitment to all the residents of Prince George's County and beyond. I requested a point of personal privilege from the chair to be honest and forthright in acknowledging and apologizing for remarks that were hurtful, insensitive, and not reflective of my respect and appreciation and admiration for all women, inclusive of my wife, my daughter, family members, friends, and neighbors, especially Councilwomen Oriata, Blagay, Fisher, Watson, and Ivy. I sit each day as an elected official with the council to ensure we meet the standards, expectations, and responsibility and accountability necessary to represent the citizens of Prince George's County. I am sincerely committed to taking full responsibility and engaging in healthy and effective dialogue and debate to make sure that I hear and respect the voices of the council and the community to ensure the passing of legislation that meets the vision, expectations, and needs of Prince George's County. Madam Clerk, I vote aye.
Ms. Ivy?
I vote aye, and I promise that I will not take any maternity leave.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Ms. Oriata?
Pass, please come back to me.
Ms. Watson?
Abstain.
Ms. Oriata?
Thank you, Chair, for also giving me a point of privilege to be able to speak before my vote. One, I want to thank all my colleagues that have supported this resolution, and publicly thank my colleagues that with their 2 votes, this will be able to pass. So I want to publicly thank Councilmember Franklin and Councilmember Hawkins. And I appreciate both of you had conversations with me and apologize. And I publicly want to also thank you for that, because it takes a lot to realize when you do something wrong and to be open and willing to apologize for those things. And I can appreciate that. I wish all my colleagues felt that way, but they don't. But I'm hopeful that we can continue to work together. And I want to share just, this conversation has brought so many things to light. I said before, this resolution was not just about me in this moment. When this topic came up, I realized that there was no policy or procedure for maternity leave, that it hadn't even been thought of when it came to legislators and serving in this body. And it was something important, and we're advocated for over 8 months to see some type of change where this could be recognized. And when we talk about either the feminist movement or women's rights, the idea is that every woman can choose in which way she shows up. It's not prescriptive. And so there were notions that the idea that I would want to maintain my right to vote means I wouldn't be a good mother. And I take issue with that and those type of comments because I take this role seriously. Most people that know me know that I work extremely hard. And it was hard for me to humble myself and say I needed help and I needed a break and I needed to take a step back. And that was what this resolution was for, to give me the space to take a step back, rest, center myself, but also have the ability to do my job. So many residents reached out to talk to me about their stories of miscarriages, of stillbirths, and how they lost loved ones, and how important this conversation is to have on every single level. I hope that I also get my colleagues' support as I move legislation to do an audit for the county government in totality, because there was issues with my insurance. I can't even give birth here in Prince George's County because the insurance that I have from the county doesn't offer that service in the county. There's so many things that have been brought to light based on my experiences that this legislation and the work that we're doing is well beyond me. And so I hope that though my colleagues couldn't stand with me and having the ability to have maternity leave, and every woman that comes after me, and every colleague that might be sick, every colleague that might have a loved one that's ill, hopefully they can at least stand with the county government employees who don't have access to the type of health care leave that they need. So I hope to at least have a unanimous support on that legislation. And I hope that we can continue to heal as a community as we move forward. I'm thankful to all the people that came out to support today, that came out to testify even though you didn't have the opportunity to. I'm thankful for everyone that has supported on this journey. I'm usually private about what I've been going through during my pregnancy. It is rare as a legislator for us to be advocating for ourselves in these positions, because usually we're arguing for someone else. And it's been hard to be front and center and have myself questioned, my motherhood questioned, my ability to serve questioned, inappropriate pictures taken by my colleagues and sent to people for bullying, all of these things that happen. And so I just hope that we can have a different level of integrity and respect for each other as we move forward. And I know I look forward to working with all of my colleagues to move the council forward. So thank you, and I vote aye.
Motion carries 803.